I have a problem. So do you. So does your best friend. And probably millions, if not billions, have a similar problem. That problem is the way we use our smartphones. In 2007, when Steve Jobs got on stage in San Francisco and wowed the world with this 3-in-1 device, the way we use technology changed forever as the touchscreen phone became the ultimate device.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
This device immediately altered what it means to use technology. And my goal is not to eradicate this whatsoever. My goal is to figure out a system to ensure my mind, my actions, and my way of living are all smarter than that of my phone.
So I usually get around 4.5 to 5 hours on weekdays on average.
I've used my phone for 44 hours and 53 minutes.
I've been averaging about 5 hours a day on my phone.
54 hours this week.
32 hours and 13 minutes on my phone.
About 24.5 hours on my phone in the past week.
4 to 6 hours a day.
41 hours.
My general screen time is about 23 hours a week.
As I'm sure you do, I get great value out of the technology I choose to invest in. It allows me to stay connected to family and friends, it allows me to do schoolwork, and it allows me to shoot and edit these videos, all of which are really important during this time. But all of this technology comes at both an emotional and physical price. Every year, an executive gets up on stage and announces a device they say will change your life.
We're changing the shape of the future with the Galaxy Z Flip.
Pixel 4.
iPhone 4.
The Galaxy Note 8.
The iPhone SE.
The Google Pixel 2.
iPhone 4S.
And they're right, they do change our lives. That's for sure. Regardless of what company makes your device, there's something about having a screen in your pocket all the time. But because these devices, and all devices, are relatively new in the span of the human species, I wanted to know what more it was doing to our bodies.
And the answer to that is that every single activity and thing that you do changes your brain.
Dr. Marcille is a licensed clinical psychologist and professor and dean of Palo Alto University's Pacific Graduate School of Psychology. He's also a past president of the California Psychological Association and has over 30 years of clinical experience.
Cell phones and the stimulation that comes from that, the social contact, the games, the Instagram, the Snapchat, all the stimulation that comes in all the time is extremely addictive. Okay? And it alters the brain. It alters the brain in that pleasure becomes focused and centralized on that particular object, just as it does for people who are drug addicts. And it also reduces the pleasure that we can experience by doing other things. That's when we know that an activity or a substance is problematic, is when it becomes the focus of our attention.
And so this is what I think is the primary question that we have to ask ourselves as we're on this path. Am I so focused on my phone that it is becoming a point of disruption in my life?
So if the use of your phone is preventing you from going outside and getting exercise, from learning to interact, with your friends on a face-to-face basis, if you can't eat dinner at the table without having your phone there on and constantly checking it, if you take it to bed with you and it disturbs your sleep and you wake up tired during the day, if you can't shut it off and put it away when you're trying to study for a class and causes your grades to decrease, that would be an indication of a dependence or an addiction. And I don't like to use the word addiction very often because it implies some kind of substance use or a disease. This is more of a behavioral issue because we're all susceptible to it.
One of the easiest ways that I figured we could prevent ourselves from getting into our smartphones while we're doing something that's important is to just put it on the other side of the room, face down, with our notifications turned off. But apparently, there's more to it than that.
There's research that indicates that the mere presence of your telephone next to you, okay, even if it's turned off, okay, or on silent, causes people to be distracted, okay, and reduces their attention on whatever task they're working on. The presence of a phone near you, okay, actually causes stress hormones like corticosteroids, okay, and adrenaline to have elevated levels simply because it's there and you are waiting, anticipating, it to ring or buzz or to check it. The trick is learning how to manage it so it doesn't rule your life. You rule it. You use it.
The more I started to understand the problem, the more I realized I could do on my end to fix it, and I think that you can as well. This was the first step I took. Nope, that's not the answer, but there are definitely other solutions. I was previously using a Google Home to wake me up instead of my phone, but I quickly realized there was a flaw in this system. Okay, Google. F you. I am a much more productive person in the morning, and getting out of bed on time is pretty important to me so that I don't feel like my day is wasted. The way I've achieved this is by finally purchasing an alarm clock. I know this is kind of an ancient idea. By doing this, it's made me realize how much more time I have in the morning and has stopped me from watching 2.5 hours of Casey Neistat in an airplane seat I can never afford. Another thing I've done based on Dr. Marcille's recommendations is to completely remove my phone from my workspace when I'm working. I feel as though my productivity has increased significantly. And if you can't put it somewhere farther away, at least put it in a place where it's harder to access. As for my screen time, my daily average this week has been 3 hours and 51 minutes. But there are some weeks in which I have a lot higher. Today is pretty low so far, but I've gotten up to 6 hours previously, and I know that there was one week where I hit 9 hours and 17 minutes in one single day. My limitations are now much stricter than they were a month ago. I have downtime set from 11 p.m. to 7:45 a.m., and the only apps that I allow are these: phone, messages, FaceTime, Maps, Google Maps, Moment, Spotify, and Wikipedia. As for my app-specific limits, I allow myself 1 hour of Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Netflix, YouTube TV, Disney+, Hulu, and Prime Video per day on my phone. That's a total of all of those. So if I spend an hour on Instagram, I can't spend any other time on these. You have to be very strict with your phone use. In my opinion, me being more strict with this allows me to enjoy my time more. Occasionally, there are the exceptions. But those exceptions are very sporadic, and I use them only when I want to talk to a friend via Instagram or something along those lines. Despite these strict limitations, and even during quarantine, I still find that there are times in which I am too enveloped in my phone. It's at these times in which I know I've maxed out my brain and need to find some sort of escape. I'm fortunate enough to live about 10 minutes from the forest. But even if you don't live within 10 minutes of a forest, you can still find ways to share this time with family or friends that you're comfortable with. Sometimes you just have to get creative in how you interact with others. And yes, I do know that some, if not most of us, are in quarantine. But quarantine does not mean that we should stop being conscious about our actions. In fact, it probably means the exact opposite. I've been implementing these tips and tricks in my life for the past week and a half or so, and I have to say I'm already seeing a pretty significant improvement in overall productivity and general happiness. So if they work for you, great, and if you have any tips of your own, fantastic, I'd love to hear them. If you were looking for more of a what's on my phone sort of video, that'll be coming out shortly. I think it's really great that we're being so mindful and that you even clicked on this video to begin with, because that shows that you are trying to make an impact. If you'd like to connect even more, my Instagram is probably somewhere around my head. I also wanted to give a huge shout out to my friends who agreed to be in this video in the beginning, so thank you so much. In the words of DJ Dave.
Excuse me, sir, could you please put your phone down? You're not walking straight, you're stumbling around. You're in public, man, you're being kind of rude. Your text messages are not that important.
I'll leave what Dr. Marcille talked about linked in the description if you're interested in reading more on the subject. Otherwise, stay tuned for more digital minimalism videos and a lot more videos in general. I can't promise that I'll put out a video every single week for the rest of my life, but a lot more content is coming soon. Cheers.